When I got to the pros and realized that there's a level of entertainment and drama to it that you don't really see at the college level. So that means football is a business, but also business is a game. So it goes both ways.
All right, welcome to another edition of the Journey to Freedom podcast, and I am Dr. B. I'm your host, and I'm just, I don't know if I want to say tickled because that's a word that I probably shouldn't be used as a black man in America, but I'm excited about today's interview and just when I think of success and the clues that it leaves, and I think about what we think of, success and black men and people we love to be. Sometimes we just go, I'm not sure, sometimes we idolize and we have these idols in our life that we say, if I could just do what they did, if I could just make sure that I get some of the same, maybe God didn't give me some of the same talent that they gave them, but if I could have their personality, if I could have their drive, if I could have their willingness to execute on things when things are going bad, I would be super successful. And today, as I talked to Andre, we get to talk about some of those things. And him and I were talking before we started about this, about, there's something special about being an athlete, being able to get out there, whether it's a high school athlete who just says, hey, I'm going to continue to do and show up and be best I can be, whether I have the talent or not, whether you go all the way, sorry, but I don't know why I'm coughing, to the epitome of, being in the NFL or being in the NBA or being in one of these, high level, high energy, high stress things. And then, okay, so we hear all these stories about folks that, they gave everything to the sport. They gave everything to what they were trying to achieve. And then all of a sudden, our bodies don't allow us to last forever. And as a result of that, we're done. And so Andre wrote a great book after the snap, and we're going to talk a lot about that today. And so I don't want to take a whole lot of time just explaining what we're going to talk about. Let's actually talk about it. So Andre, thank you for being on the show today. We will get into the 5 pillars of faith, trust, health. We may talk about one of them, we might check out all of them. But first, we want to hear your story and what you've done in your life, and then we can kind of go from there. So thanks for being on the show today.
Cool. Dr. B, thank you for having me on the show, man. I really appreciate these moments to be able to share time with people that think the same and think a lot about the words that come out of people's mouths, So what am I at? 32 now. I was in 2013, I was in my senior year at Boston College. So I went there on a football scholarship, man, and it was it was a crazy ride. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of everything. But it ended in me having a senior season of football that landed me in the Heisman race. I was the best running back in college football in 2013. I got the award to prove it. I got the Doak Walker that year, and then I ended up coming fourth in the Heisman. So that was the same year that Jameis Winston at Florida State had won the national championship against Auburn. So the other running back from Auburn, Trey Mason, was also there. We had Johnny Manziel was up for his second year. And then there was the Alabama quarterback. Can never remember his name, but he was there too. And then another quarterback named Jordan Lynch from the AAC conference that was recently formed at the time. And, it was funny because I was at BC. I'm saying? BC is not necessarily known for always putting together a Heisman-worthy performance, but there's a lot of great players that came through Boston College. I played with Luke Kuechly, who's arguably one of the best defensive talents in college football and in the NFL. He was an extremely smart football player. Apart from the body, he had the body too, but his football IQ was incredible. So yeah, man, once you enter the Heisman, it's like a fast track. Yeah, I knew where I was going. I'm sitting next to the best players in college football, so I got to be one of the best players in college football. You know, um, and I ended up getting drafted to the Giants in that 2014 draft in the fourth round, and I played 4 years in the pros. Um, so we were talking earlier about athletes, something special about an athlete. And I feel like me being an introspective person like I am, I had to discover what that thing was, why I was chasing it, and I think, people love athletes because people love superlatives. They love the best of, the tallest of, the fastest of, the biggest, the smallest, whatever the superlative is.
The
people
goat.
people they like that, so being an athlete and being able to achieve something in the field of athletics, you go find your superlative. So like I said, I mentioned mine. I was the best running back in college football in 2013. So that when you do something like that, you you're stuck there. You're in the record, so you could always stand on it. That's your platform as an athlete, and people is always gonna respect that. And then you go on to play pro and you keep building your legacy, in your athletic career. But being an athlete is just the same thing as being a politician, in the sense that people are looking to you. You're at this position that you've achieved, and now people are looking to you. So that's why the athlete is the role model, especially as it comes to the body. Politician, nobody's thinking about a politician's body, but an athlete, they got that ideal. So, um, and I don't take those things lightly. You know what I'm saying? I say that I am a retired player, but I'm a current athlete. I'm still working on myself every day. And so that's part of my transition is I'm a trainer, and I'm a trainer because of my experiences playing in the league, not just playing in the league. When I was there, I met this guy, and at the time I was having shoulder issues. So this was after my second year playing. Um, I tore my labrum to the point where my shoulder was subluxing. It was coming in and out of the joint. You know what I'm saying? So if I hit somebody and my shoulders slip out, I'm done. And I was losing plays over it. And I knew it was something that I had to address in the off season. I was doing all types of stuff trying to figure it out, as far as like coming up with a permanent solution. I was working with a this company out in Oregon that makes ballistic foams for military applications or whatever it may be. They had some kind of foams they was making, and I was building a shoulder harness, But then I met this guy, and he goes, "Anything in your body that's messed up, I can fix it. If you break your brain, I can't fix that. But anything else is easy." So as the officer, I'm telling him about my shoulder. It's doing this. The doctor said, surgery may or may not help. I had already had a surgery on it. He was like, "It's easy. It's easy." So I'm like, well, what do I have to do to work with you? Because I got nothing but time right now. It's the off season. I trust you. So he said, "If you want it, I want it more. I'll come pick you up and we'll train anywhere you want to." So I worked out with this man for 23 days straight. We would go work out 2-3 hours at a time, and then be like, "All right, you had enough. Let's go eat." And we would go eat on Broad Street in Palisades Park. That's like Koreatown. So it was having all types of Asian food. And 23 days I worked out with this. I call him Master Shin. I worked out with Master Shin for 23 days, and I never had another problem with my shoulder again.
Really?
Never had another problem with my shoulder again. And it blew my mind. I had went from like 234 to 217 in a matter of a month. So it was the most effective, not just weight loss. I fixed the shoulder that was torn to the point where the doctors told me that they couldn't, may or may not just do the maintenance, so you're going to lose the season, blah, blah, blah. Fixed it. So I'm like, I don't need to do anything that they're telling me to do anymore. I need to do this. So I followed Master Shin for 4 years and just soaked up as much knowledge and experience as I could, He's a martial artist, been doing martial arts for 30 years. So he's like, this is the East and this is the West. Over here, you're doing all this weightlifting and stuff like that. But over here, we lifting the body. We're trying to master your own body weight. So it just kind of opened up my mind to a different kind of fitness, a different vein, and I've been chasing it ever since because it not only did it extend my playing career, it healed my body to the point where it's like you're experiencing pain every day. So now you can be free and enjoy your kids and help them build their legacy, which is really the whole point anyway. It was I'll always be a lifelong fitness enthusiast, But, apart from that, I'm just an entrepreneur in general. I like the entrepreneurship route as opposed to corporate route. And I guess I picked that up from my father. My father's an HVAC contractor. We're Jamaican descent. That's our ethnicity. My parents came here when they were like 20 years old. So yeah, I guess my perspective is a little bit unique, to come from a different place to the United States. You have parents that's from foreign, and then you go and you get involved in whatever aspect of the American culture that you want to. For me, it was sports, but it helped shape my path and keep me on a good path when I was in school. So I really, sports, health, fitness, but then business. My first business that I started building was not fitness. That's like is I'm business, but also the fitness and the health. My first business was a clothing company called All Weather Selvidge. So that guy that I'm telling you about, Master Shin, he didn't own a dojo or anything. This was a businessman, So I met him through this project that I was doing. I made a shoe called the Running Man, and that's a whole other story. I had a marketing agent, and his name was Luke. And Luke would come over to my house with his camera. We take pictures, discuss ideas, do this and that. Was trying to find a way to like stop wasting my time. You know what I'm saying? Like I used to be a big gamer, and gaming in itself is an industry, but I wasn't doing it from the industry side. I was just playing games, But I was like, I can't be sitting in New York. Had a great season, got money in my pocket. I'm in New York in this great platform, and I feel like I turned this PlayStation on. I'm not doing something right. So I'm like, let me go ahead and get a hobby. And I would, you go to Whole Foods and you see the people, selling the natural soap bars. I was like, how hard would it be to get artisan enough at making this soap to get it into Whole Foods? So I built a fragrance lab in my townhouse, and that's what I was doing. And then Luke came and he's like, man, look, I got this friend. I think that you should meet him. His name was Eamon. So I went and sat down with Eamon in WeWork in Manhattan. And Eamon is like, hey, man, you're a running back in the NFL. How would you like to create a signature shoe? I got this factory out in Spain where they're cranking out the Balenciagas, and I got an old designer from Nike that, he's helping me build my own line. I call it One Ground Footwear, and I could extend my creative faculties to you, and you could build something, and we could run together. And it sounded real cool. I was like, let's do it, because I was already in the lab making soap bars, but now I get to make something luxury. How do I bring that idea into reality? Can I do it? And I worked with this guy 6 to 8 months, and I made the Running Man. I could go downstairs and get a pair, upstairs and get a pair, but there were these. I might as well go grab a pair, right? What you think?
Yes, you might as well go grab a pair. I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
I'll be right back.
I love it.
I should have thought of this before we started the show. There you go. So this is the Running Man.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Running Man. You see,
Wow. Those are nice.
I told you this. I was making these where they was making the Balenciagas.
Uh-huh.
So this is an ostrich leather tongue. You got the calf leather exterior. This is lamb skin on the inside, 100% rubber sole, and it's like a slip on. So I uh I feel like I really made a good product, but I was just making something cool.
Mhm.
But it started opening up doors where I started going to the trade shows in New York and just meeting people. And I met this guy and he's like, "So why did you make the shoe?" And I said, "Because it was cool." He's like, "It's cool. It's a really nice shoe, but how you gonna sell it?" And I'm like, "I didn't get that far yet. I'm just making cool. I'm running with this guy, aiming, still playing football, blah, blah, blah." We ended up having this 3 hour conversation though, where he blew my mind because all of the information he was giving me for free in that conversation, I had paid for that information over the course of 6 to 8 months to make the shoe. So it's like he qualified himself as somebody that could take me to the next level in terms of creating product. So um I couldn't sleep that night after that conversation because he just had a lot of questions running through my mind. I'm like, well, if there's a difference between cool and marketable, and the shoe market is set, it doesn't need another shoe. What does it need? What does the market need? And I'm like, you know what? I don't wear jeans because I rip my pants. There's nobody really making that
Yeah.
athletic fit. You
Yeah.
know, this was back in 20, about to enter 2016. We had just entered 2016, and I ended up talking to the guy about it, a Master Shin, and he's like, that's a niche that you could explore because the premium and couture market is not really uh they're not really exploring that, so you could grow out of there, especially as a professional athlete. So I ended up that was like my biggest uh roll of the dice as far as business. I'm not afraid to roll the dice. I see
Wow.
an opportunity
Yes.
and it's time to strike, or the opportunity is going to pass. I'm going to strike if I feel convicted enough to do it.
Yeah.
So I took my signing bonus and we bought some fat, because this is how he said it. He said, don't just make any jeans, make the best possible jeans you can make with the best possible fabric so that you could compete with the best people in the market. And when he said it like that, then that hit my brain like how it hits an athlete's brain. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm doing something because I know that I'm competing with somebody that might possibly be sharper than me,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to compete. I want to beat them.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you're competing with the best in the market on the field and you're competing with the best of on the market in the industry, then you realize that football, especially when I got to the pros and realized that there is a level of entertainment and drama to it, that you don't really see at the college level. So
Mhm.
that means football is a business, but
Yeah.
also business is a game. So it goes both ways. Um, and so that's what excited me and got me switched onto that entrepreneur route. Like when I sell a pair of jeans or shoes, that's like, oh yeah, I got positive yardage, I made a first down, whatever it is. You get that same uh excitement from it, that same, wow,
Mhm.
that felt good. So that's where I'm at now, man. I just wrote my book in September, and now I'm building my online business. I opened up a couple stores. I did, I got into. I did go back to the trade show as a business, as AW Selvidge, and this was in 2019 now. So I did the distribution route, but then ran into the pandemic. Then I opened up my own store. I did that twice, messing with the malls and things like that, especially in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. I didn't get that pop that I needed to get, but I also understood what my true bottlenecks as small business was. And so, then you figure out how to climb obstacles to just keep growing, keep going, keep learning, keep building, because you only ever really lose when you quit.
when you
you
quit.
know.
Wow.
But if you think about people like Elon Musk or Alex Hormozy, all of those people, they'll tell you about a point where they was just down bad with whatever they was trying to do, and then all of a sudden it's like boom, you have a moment, and it could be 5 year period, could be 10 year period. And then after that 10 year period, now you multi-million dollars, or somebody like Elon, $1 billion. But even Jeff Bezos, everybody that really made it, they have that moment in business where they're down bad, and it doesn't matter. You have to learn why you're there and keep going. So I've been through enough in life, been humbled by life in certain situations, having kids, playing ball, getting injured, going through divorce situation. Like, I lived enough life to understand who I am and what I stand for, and what makes me wake up out of bed in the morning, to the point where I can't be bothered. You asked me if I was watching the football games yesterday. I seen a couple things, but I was busy doing my thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I am right now, Dr. B.
Oh, I love it. Now, do you feel like you're living in your purpose right now? Like, you know why you were put on this planet and why you're moving forward. Do you feel like you're kind of in that realm right now by doing the things you love to do, or did you think your purpose was back playing and now you're finding a new purpose? What's your thoughts on purpose?
I think that's an excellent question. As far as football, even with the body, there is a everybody has an optimal gene expression. I believe that if you do the right things, you will get the ultimate body, whatever that is for you. you
Mm-hmm.
know and it might not be what you imagine it is in your head, but if you're doing the right things, it's going to expose itself. And I think it's the same way with life, with destiny. If you're doing the right things, you're going to have some kind of optimal expression in every field that you touch. Football, I left a lot of football on the field. you know if it was if I put my mind to it, though, there's ways to go ahead and finish out whatever it is that you have to do, to feel that fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
But um, I at this point in my, once you get enough experiences and you do enough things, like when I started having my kids and realized that life was bigger than the game of football. Life is really about legacy building, you know. Then it's like, well, that's a big idea, and it's not just about me anymore. It's about me in the future through those kids. So then you have to put other things up on the priority list, and there's other things up on the priority list apart from the game of football. Even though I love it, but I'm expressing my love for the game in a different way, which is why because people ask me like, Dre, you're inspirational. You could be a coach, and I'm like, I could be, but I was an athlete. I know what kind of time investment I was putting in to be a great athlete. The coaches, it's even more. It's even more. So right now I'm building a business and training because that's how I want to create the next athlete, not coach the next athlete, you know.
I love it. Let's talk about your book a little bit. After the Snap, what inspired the
After the last snap.
after the last snap, not after the snap,
Yeah.
after the last
Yeah.
snap. Let's talk about that a little bit. What inspired you to write it, and what is I guess the biggest takeaway you'd want people who are going to watch this and go buy it to take from the book?
Um so this was 2020. I guess that would be 2022, 2021. So this was 2022. I had a customer come into my store. His name was Eric Bartos. And Eric, he ended up becoming a customer and a friend. We talked first, and then he bought his jeans. But um, he is also an author, and he wrote this book called Bar 40, and it's like a self help book. You know what I'm saying? But it's plotted very precisely. And he asked me for a quote. He needed a quote for his. He had like a little part where it's like, all right, this is how these people were helped by this book. What is this book really saying? How did it help you? And I read the book and gave him a quote, and he's like, "Yo, Jerry, this quote is so good that I want to put it where everybody is going to see it. And he ended up putting it on the cover of his book, you know. So it inspired me, you know, to say like, man, if he thought my quote was so good, then I probably should write my own book, because I had already said that I was going to write a book in college. And people asked me about it all. It was the weirdest thing. They asked me about it all the time. Did you ever finish your book? I'm like, no, I didn't finish it yet, you know. Going through life, playing football. After that Heisman, life started moving really fast. Didn't get back around to the book. But when he, honored me in that way, and then the way you're reading the book is like how to have the best year of your life. And then I heard a quote from um, Stephen King, and Stephen King said, writing a book is like, how did he say it? It's like going through a season of sport. It takes 3 to 4 months. Doesn't matter what you're writing. Anything over that is procrastination.
Mhm.
And when he said it that sharp, I'm like, oh man, I could have the best year of my life and write this book in 2023. That was 2023. January 1st to December, whatever. It might have been December 21st. It took me to finish the whole book. And so I just made you have to make these little goals, these small goals towards a big goal, and be disciplined and consistent enough to work on that goal, that small goal, every day, you know. And the book was written. I said 10 minutes, at least 10 minutes every day until this thing is finished. So the book it's a memoir. It's my life from 0 to 30, and it's just the most important moments in my life that kind of shape my philosophy on life. You know, I feel like I did things that a lot of people don't get to do, met people that a lot of people won't get to meet, made and spent money in a way that a lot of people won't ever get to do it. And I learned a lot of hard lessons doing it, so I just really felt like I had a good story to tell. I needed to tell the story. It was the most therapeutic thing that I've ever done in life, was writing that story. Um, and so the most important thing, I don't know what the most important thing was. I feel like I said a lot of important things, but um, I would say that the word that's popping into my mind right now is forgiveness. Forgiveness. Um, I feel like I needed to learn to forgive, truly forgive, in order to have peace. Because forgiving somebody is not for that person, it's for yourself. And once you learn to
Mhm.
forgive, it's kind of like though the forgiveness is a key, and it unlocks you from this mental prison where you hold in all of these things for these people that you can never really give them. They're your things, all of the anger or the whatever it happens to be, the rage, the sadness. You got to let that stuff out of your mind through forgiveness, you know. And so it sounds like I don't know what it sounds like, but all I know is that concept comes from Jesus Christ himself. Because if God can forgive you for everything that you already did or didn't do yet, he already said, I forgive you. Do you accept my forgiveness? And it's like, if I'm going to accept his forgiveness, I have to be able to forgive.
Yes.
Otherwise, it don't make no sense.
Mhm.
So it's that is peace, that's peace. And then there is happiness. What is human happiness? Human happiness, for me, I'm telling you, don't have anything to do with the amount of money in your pocket. Happiness is two simple things. If you eat good food every day and you sleep well at night, every night, you're gonna be a measure of happy. But if you get to do that every day with the people that you love, then you have supreme happiness, and nobody could really take that from you, no matter what. You have control of those two things. You have control over it. Nobody else has control over it. You do. You know, that's basic human happiness for real. Everything else is fluff. You know,
Okay.
there's ambition and there's this and that, but it's not really making you happy, you know. Um, so
So let me ask you a question in this, because what I'm hearing is our pursuit and where we want to move to and achieve is peace, happiness, and relationship. And if we can get those things, that's the quality of life we want to have throughout that. Obviously, money helps that or doesn't help that. But if you can get those three things, are there more to that? Or are those the three basic foundations that will create a life that you want to leave?
well, we the legacy part. You will get stuck if you think that you are going to just be here eating good and sleeping good and not building your legacy, and you're gonna feel fulfilled at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? You can have a great relationship, you can be eating good and sleeping good, but as a man,
Mhm.
legacy. When my son popped out the womb and I seen his watermelon shaped head, I said, "That's me. That's me." It was another mind blowing moment. And I'm like, well, look, if that's me, then that means that I'm a version of my father too. And if that's the case, Williams means more than Andre.
Yeah.
Williams means more than Baron or Kyle, my two kids. And then my wife, she also took my last name. Why? Because I got a plan to build my legacy. I'm going to do it this way, this way. These are the lessons that I'm going to give, and it's going to blossom into something more beautiful that's going to build for the next generation of us, of me. She's following along with the plan. It's nothing other than that. There's no other reason for her to take my last name if that's not really what it is, you know? So, um,
I like that.
and I say it with strength because I learned hard lessons, you know. I learned hard lessons, but I love being married, you know. I love being married.
So I want to ask you that. So my goal in life is to help others become the person they need to be in order to do the thing that God put them on this earth to do, and help them to be. And I know, my prayer every day is, "Dear Lord, give me the wisdom, to do those things in order to please you and serve others." And when I think about you talking about legacy, and I think about what it means to create a legacy, can you create the legacy without serving others, or is there a plan in on how you serve other people in order to create your legacy?
Well, I can tell you from my perspective, because I got kids, you have to be able to serve your kids first. You have to be able to serve your kids. If you have kids, I had this I had a loctician. Had a loctician. She was all right. She was pretty good. Every time I came into her shop, though, there was some weird stuff going on. Every time I come in there, there's some weird stuff going on. Oh, this time I pop in there, it smells funny in here. It kind of stink. What is that? Though I did weird stuff, telling you, right? And then one time I came in there and this lady was in there with her daughter, but the way she was treating her, I didn't even think it was her daughter at first because it was just weird. It wasn't right, wasn't good. After that, I'm like, man, there's nothing that you can do for me. I see how you treat your own kids. I don't want nothing to do with you, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So um if you can't serve your kids, you cannot effectively serve other people because you don't have no platform to stand on. You're like a half stepper. If you're putting kids into the world, there's a reason why you did it and what you're supposed to be doing now that they're here. So um but if you don't have kids, it's not that you can't build a legacy. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just talking of it from my perspective because I have two boys in the world. So I'm always thinking of it from a certain lens. Um,
I love it.
yeah.
One of the questions that I ask I would say 90% of black men, because 90% of the black men that I talk to have kids. And so when I talk about being a dad, one of the things that is every child, and I 1000% believe it. I have 8 children myself. I have 16 grandkids now. And
You
so
got 8 kids?
I have 8 kids and 16 grandkids, and can't and all my kids don't have kids yet. So we
Oh,
are just
God
living
bless,
life.
man.
Yes. So one of the things that as I see men that I talk to men that are kind of stuck, men that have been great dads, men have been absent from child's life, men that have had issues with mom trying to not let them see their kids. But one of the things is every child obviously I believe needs a dad and needs a dad in the family. That's 100% that I believe that. But I don't know if we talk enough about how much we need that we get out of being a dad. Like being a dad changes who we are if we let it. It
100%.
changes the makeup of what we believe we can do. That protecting, that being able to serve our kids, that to teach them and train them. It changes who we are and how we become successful or leave legacies in our life. Kind of talk about being a dad and what it's meant to you. I know what it means to the kids because that's everything. But what it
Mhm.
means to you is who you are and your identity.
I think that, and this is like one of those, I don't know, it's not, the word is not universal, but it's absolute. One of those absolute lessons is like, you only really have learned something when you're at the place where you can teach something. So you being a father, and now you put in a position where you have to teach, you also have to learn. So if you want to teach your kids discipline, you have to learn discipline. You know what I'm saying? So I think fatherhood, being a dad, is just this lesson, is this ongoing lesson on you becoming a better you for you, which is your child, you
Mhm.
know. So it's one of the ultimate learning lessons. And being a dad, it also helps you to remember your innocence, remember your childhood, and to be young for your kids. And you being young makes you young, you know. So it's just the biggest blessing. It's the biggest blessing to have a child, not just for the child to be in, uh, for you to be in your child's life, but for your child to be in your life. It's the biggest blessing.
Wow. Well, and I know you've been around, a whole bunch of men that didn't grow up with a dad or didn't grow up with a dad figure or, give the excuse, well, I don't know how to be a dad. Or, like I said, mom's taking dad away. Hey, I'm not going to let you see him because there's that issue between, the spouse or the girlfriend or whoever, mama, that is
Mhm.
brought up. What do you say to those men about how important it is to fight for that that ability to be with your kids, no matter what those circumstances are?
Yeah, I went through that kind of situation, man, with my first son's mom. You
Mhm.
know, I got married maybe a little bit too young, where I was still developing into a mature man. You know what I'm saying? An immature man might be, you could be immature in a lot of ways. And I was grown for my age, but I was immature in the sense that I was very idealistic. And so I felt like I had the best interest in mind for somebody. This person, especially somebody that's gonna have kids with me, should also have the best things in mind for me and for our child. But that's not how the world works. So, people are sometimes could be not idealistic, they could be selfish. Sometimes they could be spiteful, especially when emotions are involved. So um I was in a real toxic situation with my kid's mom, to the point where it got. I put it this way, right? The day that I got cut from the Giants, it's the same uh morning. That same morning, my son's mom tried to kick me down some steps with my 6-month old in her arms. So it was. I went through a period where I just, at that point, it was like, if I don't get out of this situation, somebody's gonna get hurt. somebody's gonna go to jail, somebody's gonna die. And the only person that's really gonna end up hurt the most is gonna be Baron. So I gotta go. And I'll tell you it was the same day that morning that happened, and I got cut from the Giants. The next day, got a call from my agent, and my agent was like, "Hey man, congratulations, you headed to San Diego. The San Diego Chargers picked you up." And I'm like, yo, how much further could I have been taken from this situation without being in the ocean? You know what I'm saying? So God does work and he does move in ways that you really have to have your eyes open and to just be able to be still with your hands open rather than your hands like this, because God is always moving. You know what I'm saying? But that don't mean that he's always going to save us from ourselves. And that don't mean we're not going to have consequences for our actions. We still got to pay. Still got to pay. So I would say it was when he popped out the womb and I started to understand what legacy was. And then it's like, is it your principle that you're going to build your legacy, or is it not? You're gonna have to build, you're gonna have to decide this day, who am I? What do I really care about? Because if I really care about this child and I say that I'm going to be present and around, I'm gonna have to fight. I'm gonna have to fight to do it. And not fight in a physical way. I'm gonna have to use my brain, and I'm gonna have to use my mouth and my heart and my mind to figure out, hey, I am this child's father. He does have my last name. So there's certain things that I can and can't do, and certain things she can and can't do, regardless. When I was going through that divorce situation with her, they came into the court and said that I was an absentee father, and it would be a dink. I was trying to take him down. I was on my my bye week with the Chargers, and I was like, I'm gonna take the bye week. I haven't seen Darren in some time, to pick him up, take him on the flight to go see his grandma. I hadn't seen his grandma yet, my mother. Mm-hmm. And he was used to getting on planes and all of that. We had taken him to Florida, taken him to Nantucket. We did that. I'm saying that I'm the one that gave this little boy a bath every day of his life up until I left for California. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I'm an absentee father. It's a danger for me to be with the child alone. I need supervised parenting, this, that, and the third. And it was a situation where it was the bye week was that the court situation happened the first day of my bye week. Okay. So you put all of that dirt into the courtroom, and then whatever is going to transpires, and it ends, and now it's the bye week, and I still need to see my kid, So that it's kind of set up in a situation where this is what we're saying. We can take as much time as we need to work it out, but for this week, I think that we should probably get some supervised parenting going so this guy can see his son. And that's either, will you agree to it or not? Because you only got a week and then you got to go back to Cali. So you choose now. Hurry up, because it's 5 o'clock. You got to get picked up from daycare. You know what I'm saying? So at a certain point, no matter what, you're going to have to make a decision on what your principles are and what you're willing to go through and fight for in order to be present in your kid's life. You know what I'm saying? So
what happened? Story.
I'm telling you, man, man's life is about suffering, struggle, and sacrifice. That's what I did. And we went through that for a couple of years, because not only was it the big spike game, but she was getting paid because I'm playing professional football. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm waging this financial war, paying to see my child, waging this spite, emotional, crazy, disgusting war, in this high pressure situation, trying to play football, and you can't go in two opposite directions at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So there's you had mentioned it earlier. It ain't always the game, that is going to tell you that it's time to hang it up. Is life itself can be like, look, you want to get your life together, shit, something's gonna have to go. So It was
This is about 10 years later, so he's what, 10? How is
he's gonna be 9 in February.
yeah, okay, so yeah, so what is that relationship like now? You fought for it. Tell me about the relationship and what you love the most about your time that you get with your son. So
Baron knows who his father is. You know what I'm saying? Baron knows who his father is, and that was the goal from the jump. It don't really matter uh where he is or how much time has passed. As long as I get Baron to understand who his father is, he's gonna understand more and more every day who he is. And that's all I really care about because he's me, and that is not gonna change. You know what I'm saying? So we have a great relationship. I'm gonna pick him up on Saturday for the new year, actually. But he's in right now, he's in Aspen, Colorado. He's skiing, so his folks, they got a different kind of money. So it's like he lives a real interesting life. Would I do it the way that they do it? No, but that is also part of who he is. You know what I'm saying? So ain't too much that is really once you finally finish that. The divorce thing is really, it's like a what they call those soap operas. It's like this big drama, this big show, and you can get caught up in the emotion of the show, or you could just stay steely-eyed Dan, and just finish it through as quickly as possible. I couldn't do that as my immature self, but also to a certain degree, I accomplished the mission. You know, there's certain things that you're gonna understand about those other people. The in-laws become outlaws, and it's not. It's the same thing as football because when I was in San Diego and they moved from San Diego to their first year in LA, then they switched everybody out. I had this coach that you don't always like your coach, you know what I'm saying? But he's still your coach. You know what I mean? Not saying that those people are your coaches, but you still have to have this working relationship with them in order to make sure that everything is good for the little one, for Baron. You know what I'm saying? Because you still have to build a legacy despite whatever they're doing to try to burn it down. They can't though, because I'm me. And I did not get to where I got to in life on accident. It wasn't no luck. It's principle and being consistent and disciplined enough to stick to those principles every day. And that's how I am who I am. And can't nobody change that. Can't nobody break me.
no, and nobody should be able to. That is doesn't mean when you think about relationship now. So you had this relationship that was just you could tell it was a crazy relationship that shouldn't have been. What now you're in a new relationship? What
Mhm.
lessons take from the old one that changed who you are to be a better man? I'm doing a series on Sundays that's called Why Love Waits. And we have a panel of men and women, black men and women, and talk about like, it's amazing that when black women over 40, 50% of them have never been married. And then we think
Mhm.
of, these relationships, whether it's black women or white women, whatever it is that we're with, and we're just kind of talking about it is why is it that so many women don't think they need men, and then they say that we don't treat people right and that kind of stuff. And so, what are some things that you've learned in relationship that makes you a better partner?
Um, well, first, I think that there's a lot of poison in the culture, that we are gonna have to stop feeding into.
Okay.
Um, and I just, for me, I think that you can't really have a serious relationship with somebody if you don't understand how to love yourself. And I'm going to tie it right back into the forgiveness thing. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Yeah.
Whatever your faults are, you're gonna have to forgive yourself for them and accept who you are. You know what I'm saying? And that might mean saying, look, I might not necessarily like my hair as it is right now, But maybe I should just accept it and not put nothing on my head or put no fake hair on my head. Maybe I don't necessarily love how my face looks like right now, but let me just not put let me just be me and be okay with being me and leave my face and my hair alone. I got a woman that is perfectly fine with that. My wife don't wear no make. Her hair is like mine. We got it twisted up. You know, this even having a bald head, having no hair on your head, that in and of itself is it says something about a person. You know what I'm saying? It really does, and we get caught up. But I'm just telling you, me as a man, when I'm walking around with these locks on my head, and I see somebody else's head, it tells me something about the person.
Okay.
Locks or baldy or a wig or well, whatever it is, how they're doing their head and how they're doing their face is sending a message about how I feel about myself, you know. So that might be a little caustic or whatever the word is, but hey, I think there's something real deep to that, and you know, I said there's some things in our culture it's really not helping us get together. You know what I'm saying? Is the way we think about ourselves and the way we think about uh money and love. Oh, if you get closer to Jesus and you're gonna learn how to love yourself better, you're gonna be able to love somebody else better. For real.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. So I can't I had a I forget what I think it might be chapter 52 in the book, right? Chapter 52 is called it's chapter 50 something, I believe it's 52. Digital demons and the angel of death. Right. So I had this near death experience where I met one of the grim reapers for real. I met an angel of death. And had I not gotten on my knees and repented, turned the other way the day before, y'all would have been dead because this guy swung a scythe at my neck. He swung a sickle at my neck, tried to cut my head off, man. This happened in a fever dream. And I know I'm going off on a crazy tangent right now, but this story is in the book. And the first thing that he told me after he tried to end my life, right? His sickle broke on my neck. And then he said three things to me. The first thing he said to me was, it's better for you to die than for you to um, corrupt your family by showing them your lack of self-discipline.
Wow.
The second thing he said was your relationship with your wife is your relationship with God. Stop treating them as if they're two separate things.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So it's really not a game out here. Marriage is really not a game. You'll lose your life over that.
Yeah. Wow.
So
Cool. So that's some deep stuff, right? When you think about that, and how you now, do you think you treat your wife now that you have now different than you did the first one, just because you matured and you became this other person, and now and you now, I guess after this experience, you definitely have a whole nother thought process
mhm.
every day when you get up. So there's certain things you do every day. I mean, and the reason I'm saying this is because I know there are men who are watching this. You're going, I'm not sure how to treat my wife. I didn't have great examples when I was growing up. I don't really know. What are, maybe some things that you could say that you matured into that make it different as you get up?
Praying over my relationship.
Okay. I love it.
Praying over my relationship. I have to ask God and I have to say, Heavenly Father, help me soften my heart towards my wife, God. Help me to soften my heart towards my wife. Right. And that could mean whatever it needs to mean. You know what I'm saying? But you are putting yourself in this posture where you open to the Holy Spirit, letting him direct you towards how you should be. Because it's your flesh is telling you to do the one thing and the spirit is telling you to do the other thing. All right. And if you can hear the two opposing voices and choose the right one most of the time, you should be all right. Your relationship should be growing, you know.
Oh, I love that. Soften my heart. There's some times when I have an amazing relationship with my wife, but there's some times I can soften my heart, and I love the fact that you're praying every single day, asking God to help you
Mhm.
relationship. That
Mhm.
successfully schools folks who are listening, that is a major clue that you should want to follow. Man, this has been such a great conversation, a great talk, and I don't want to leave this conversation without you saying, if I didn't ask a question and we didn't talk about something you wanted to talk about, what is it that you want to share with this audience for the remainder of our time together today?
Um, well, Dr. B, I think that we had a wonderful conversation. It's not like this is my first time telling this story. I love to share this story because I feel like there is I lived a lot of life. You know what I'm saying? I'm only 32, but I've done some things, you know. So I uh I don't think that we really left anything out. If there's anything else that you want to ask, then we could talk all day, man.
Oh my gosh.
We could
I
talk all day.
And one of the things that I want people to know is because as you're an entrepreneur and we're thinking about what people do during the day that makes them either achieve or not achieve. And maybe you can speak to this just in kind of ending is we spend so much time idolizing or as I'm watching the game yesterday, right? And I'm thinking about all the people that are there and all the people who love this sport, which it is an amazing sport. I used to coach, I used to play it, I get it. But at the same time, if you're not taking care of the things at home, you're not, like you said, I was taking care of what I needed to do yesterday before I was watching the sport that you've even been part of.
Mm,
I see people. My wife has an embroidery business, and it's there's a gentleman who comes over, and he's got every team. Here we got Nuggets, we got Broncos, we got all these teams that are here in Denver, and he's putting all these other people's names and everything on these jerseys, and then I see that his boys walking in, and I'm seeing him. I don't know if it's just worship or idolizing these men that some of them had character. You obviously have major character, but there's some that don't. And I'm
mm,
going, but your kids, you need to be their hero before they see you just spending money after on these jerseys and on these things and know more stats. Some of them know more stats about like the players that are there. Like I was sitting in the car and they're talking about fantasy football and they're telling me all these stats about all these players that they know everything about. And I'm like, but so how does your daughter do in volleyball? What are her stats? What are the
mm.
how do you, as being a player and knowing hey that was how your income was created? What do you say to these dads that spend more time on other folks than they
Well,
do?
for me, I got two just fantastic, perfect 10 fingers, 10 toes little boys, you know? And I know what their potential is, you know? They can be greater than me, but it ain't gonna happen on accident. It ain't gonna happen off of just luck.
Mhm.
That's not how it worked for me. There was a it wasn't the perfect plan, and it don't have to be the perfect plan, but there has to be a plan, and there has to be a consistent discipline to execute the plan every day. So it goes back to me. Life is very simple. Happiness, eating good food and sleeping good every night. So if I know that that's what happiness is, then I'm executing that plan on how to get that happiness, my daily dose for me and for my family. But it's even deeper than that because when I say eat good every day, I know exactly what eating good is because I know how to create the optimal fit athletic body. That's why I'm like this, man. I could pull off my shirt and show you like it. You give me 3 weeks and I gotta put a little money into it. Go find somebody that I could really play with the football with. I get back on the field in 3 weeks. I'm still right there. And maybe you might think that I'm crazy, but in my mind, I know that I can still ball. I know I can because I work on my body every day, right? I know I'm in better shape right now than I was when I was playing ball. I got the old man strength now, so and I don't have
Yeah.
no tread on my tires, and I know how to heal my body. So I'm good. But if I know that much, that's part of my legacy. So I'm going to pass it on to my kids so that they got the opportunity to do it. They don't have to. They don't have to. But that's knowledge and expertise that I got that I'm selling to other people. So why wouldn't I make my kids do it? You know what I'm saying? Because they got an opportunity. So I'm making an investment right now on my kids because just like I knew in 8th grade, my sister went to Cornell. My parents don't got no more money. I better go ahead and get me a scholarship. And my first compliment was from my coach. He said, Dre, you got a lot of raw talent playing this game. You should stick with it. It's going to take you somewhere. And I believe that. And guess what? It did take me to college, did give me the scholarship, and I did go pro. And I got this platform now to the point where you care about what I'm talking enough to put me on your podcast. And it's going to last my entire life. You know what I'm saying? So I'm making the investment in the kids right now. I'm not just having kids, I'm investing in these kids so that I can sit back later and be like, wow, look at them now. That's going to be exciting, for decades, 40, 50, when I'm they're grown and I'm really, I'm saying I did enough now. Foundation is wide open for you. Go ahead and run,
I love it. Well, the book is After the Last Snap. Go ahead and pick up a copy and understand the life of this very wise, as I can tell you, 32-year-old man that has got a perspective that is something that you can take, that you can learn from, and that you can move forward with. And so, Andre, just appreciate you deciding to come on and be in here, and hopefully can do it again at some point. Do a recap one. I think of all the things that I'm trying to do and accomplish, and it's all about serving people. And I love the fact that we need to do legacy, and we need to, I think about, my kids and what they become. And you could be my kid. My oldest is 35, so it's like he's 36 and working at Pixar and loving it. And was a champion high jumper at some point. And so thank you guys for being part of this. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button. There will be, times where you're going to find somebody who you can identify with, as a Black man who's saying, I took whatever. We didn't even talk about society in this conversation. Maybe we can go back and talk about some of those struggles, but somebody who didn't leave and didn't believe that society was going to hold him back from achieving, hold him back from being able to do stuff. And so you guys have an amazing, awesome, just incredible day. Don't forget that you, my friend, are God's greatest gift, and he loves you if you allow him to. And then we will see you on the next one. Andre, don't go away real quick.
Yeah.